This is the story about God and his parents. Most people don't know that God had parents. So let's talk about God's parents, Milt and what was it? Wilma, Milt and Wilma. Now, Milt and Wilma were just very good people. And they had two little girls, and as they grew up, they gave them more and more responsibility. Each one of them ended up getting a universe. They were wonderful people, and they were wonderful in their universes. God was a problem child. He was difficult. So his parents decided that they weren't going to give him a universe. They might try him out on a planet. So when he reached his 12th birthday, they said, okay, we're going to give you a planet. That's your birthday present. So here's Earth. Well, it wasn't long before the wheels fell off. They found out about him testing the people on Earth. So they called him in. And they said, Wilma said, you know, God, what was this deal with this test that you devised for Adam and for Eve? Some kind of tree? And Milt said, yeah, he set a tree up in the middle of the garden and then told them not to eat the fruit. And Wilma said, is that right, God? And God said, well, yeah, I'm God. I can do whatever I want to do. And Milt said, you know you're setting them up to fail. And Wilma said, no, wait a minute. Now, God, do you understand that when you when you play with people, they get to where they don't like you? You wanted to make sure that they were supporting you and loving you and everything. Why do you need that reassurance? You made them. You gave them a perfect world. And then what your father and I are upset about is you told them that because they ate the fruit that they now had to die. As if that wasn't a ridiculous, totally stupid punishment. And then you told them all of their children and children's children and all of their prodigy, all of them had to die as a result. Is that about right? God said, yeah, that's right. Isn't that a perfect punishment? And they said, no, that's not good at all. That making them die, that doesn't make any sense, God. You didn't just punish Adam and Eve, you punished everybody after them, and the punishment was death? Really? Well, long story short, they took Earth away from God for a while. And it wasn't until a few thousand years later that they let him have the Earth again. Well, it wasn't long before the wheels fell off again, and they brought him in, and they said, God, by now he's an adolescent, you know, what do you want? Well, we understand that you made friends with this Abraham guy. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. We're buddies. Well, didn't you test Abraham? We kind of warned you about testing people. You tested him, didn't you? Yeah. I wanted to see if he loved me and if he believed in me. So, and see, I don't talk directly to any of these people. I keep them guessing as to where I am. So his mother said, you know, once again, that's really not fair. If you exist, you have to talk to them. Actually, let them know you're there. This hide and seek stuff, I don't understand. Well, I wanted to see if he believed in me and loved me. So and Milton stopped him and said, I know. You told him to kill his son, didn't you? And Wilma said, oh, and she started crying. How could you do such a horrible thing? Well, Milton said, once again, now you've gone too far. I know you stopped him. I know you didn't make him actually kill his son, but talk about a horrible, nasty thing to do to somebody. Oh, just kidding. No, you don't have to kill your son. Do you realize what you put that poor man through? And do you think he loves you more now? So we're taking Earth away from you for another couple of thousand years. A few thousand years later, they called God in again. It didn't take long before once again he's at his old tricks. So this time Mother starts off. You know, not Adam, you know, God, we heard that you created out of thin air a son, a human son, and that you decided to send him to Earth to be tortured and killed. And you kind of set things up so that he would be tortured and killed. And then you told mankind that you loved him so much that you sent your only son to sacrifice for their sins. In other words, in order for you to forgive them, you had to have your own son murdered and executed and tortured, right? And God said, well, I guess if you put it that way, yeah, they had to atone for their sin. And they said, Milton said once again, now what was the sin? And God said, well, they ate of the forbidden fruit, and I wasn't happy with them. So to show your love for them, you let your son be tortured and murdered. Once again, let's talk about perspective here. Your idea of justice is pretty harsh, don't you think? You keep killing people for no reason and torturing people. So Wilma and Milt took Earth away from God yet again for another couple of thousand years. And it wasn't too long after they gave Earth back to him that he was up to his old tricks again. This time, there was a great, horrible world war going on at the planet Earth. And there was this horrible guy, Hitler, who was killing Jews, God's chosen people, his favorite people. He was killing Jews, and he killed 6 million of them. Now remember, every day they were on their knees praying to God, oh, please God, deliver us from Hitler. So they called God in. They said, we heard that you let Hitler kill 6 million of your people. Is that right? And God said, yeah, that's right. I gave him free will, so, that's right. Well, God said, I'm curious, what were you doing when all of these people were praying for deliverance? He said, well, I took a vacation. I went to the Bahamas. I didn't know that was going to happen. So, I was in the Bahamas. I didn't really bother with their prayers at that point. I wasn't checking my computer. So, in other words, while 6 million people were tortured to death and starved to death, you were once again asleep at the wheel. You were on vacation. And God said, yeah, have you ever been to the Bahamas? It's the most beautiful place I ever created. The Bahamas are just gorgeous. So at that point, Wilma and Milt just said, that's it, God. You're done. You're not worthy of keeping Earth. You're not a good God. And so they gradually let the people on Earth know that God was dead. Of course, they didn't kill God, but they let Earth know that God was dead. And it's taking many, many years now because people just don't want to let go of God. But eventually the Earth will heal and God will be gone and we won't have to worry about it anymore. And that's the story of God and his parents.